Hello, greetings, and welcome to episode 29. Episode 29 in our 30 days marathon journey into discussing 30 important questions singles must ask while dating or courting. Yes, in episode 29 today, the 29th question singles must ask while dating or courting is how do you handle differences in values or cultural backgrounds in a relationship? How do you handle differences in values or cultural backgrounds in a relationship? I keep saying this thing, marriage is hard work. Marriage is hard work. And for those who are married for a few years, they would understand what I'm saying. And of course, it takes two people from two different backgrounds with completely different value system. It could be even different cultural backgrounds coming together in a union, and they have to live together and wake up every morning beside each other, and they have to get into the space of each other while they live. And of course, it's important to understand how the person you are dating or courting handles differences in values or differences in cultural backgrounds. Of course, I am of this opinion that individuals who marry or who are intending to marry should be of the same religion, because religion is a strong factor which can either solidify unions or kind of fragilize and even destroy unions. Because when there are divergence already at a level of religion or systems of beliefs, of deities, of higher power, whatever they believe in, that is already a very strong dividing point. And over and beyond that, when we are certain that the individual we are dating or courting are of the same religion, that believe in the same thing we believe in, that doesn't stop it there. What about their values? What about their cultural backgrounds? What about those things they think are valuable? It's important to understand where this individual is coming from. Is also good to understand, very important to understand, what value systems do they have? What do they consider right? What do they consider wrong? What do they consider important? What do they consider unimportant? What is morality to them? What is what is it that they call good, or what is it they call bad? It's important to tap into their value system to understand exactly the kind of person you are dating or courting. And of course, it's also very, very important to tap into their cultural backgrounds, because our values and our cultural backgrounds, they kind of determine the course of our lives. The kind of things we would like to engage in. They also influence in a great way how we communicate. They also influence in a great way how we handle conflicts in relationship. They also influence in a great way how we even live and run our relationship. And it's important, and I keep saying this, you don't get married to a total stranger. You would want to get into a relationship with somebody you need to know, understand, and of course, if that relationship has to progress to marriage, it is important you gather as much information as possible. Of course, it's not possible to know a human being to the point that you eliminate surprises, but you can at least understand and know them to the level that you minimize or reduce surprises that may surface in the future as you both live together. How do they handle differences in values. Even brothers from the same family, from the same mother, growing in the same house, or brother and sister siblings, they may have differences in values. They may have differences in the way they approach things. They may have differences in the way they handle issues, they resolve conflicts. How do you handle those differences? Some people think that, especially in a patriarchal community where you have men who dictate things, how things go, they always feel that women are the people who are supposed to change. And whenever there are differences in their values or there are differences in cultural backgrounds, they will always think that the woman is the one to adjust and change and fit into the system which has been put in place by the man, or fit into the values of the man, and the man does not have to do anything but stay in his lane, and the woman has to meet him in his lane. But I want to say that it's important that in a functional relationship where these people really understand what it means to be in relationship and they value each other, it's important to have a discussion about how they are going to handle differences, how in their values or differences in cultural background. Is it a situation where somebody must dictate to the other and say, hey, you have to follow what I want you to do, or else this relationship doesn't exist? Or what are those healthy ways that they may kind of chat together to see how they can use them to resolve differences in cultures or even differences in cultural backgrounds? The first important thing you want to consider would be communication. Communication is key in handling differences and talking things over, trying to understand the other's standpoint, what they think, what they hold, what they believe, what they want is very, very important. And this can only happen when there is effective communication. And it's also important to educate yourself. Take time to learn about your partner's culture. You don't rush into marrying someone without understanding their culture, without understanding their traditions, without understanding their values. It's not about good or bad. It's about understanding them. Especially when you do cross-cultural marriages, where you marry people from different ethnicities or even people from different nationalities, it is very, very important to educate yourself. Don't just follow your emotions. Don't just follow, the excitement of the moments. There are some cultural issues and values and traditions which you need to consider. Educate yourself. Learn as much as possible about the culture, about the value system, about the traditions. Where is this person coming from? How do they view marriage? How do they do marriage? How do they do relationship? What is it in their culture that they hold dear to when it comes to marriage? Of course, I come from a culture. I belong to a people. We have a culture. We have a way we view marriage. We have a way we do marriage. It is not necessarily the best. So if you want to get into a relationship with somebody like me, you have to understand you have cultural issues to deal with. And of course, I have to understand I have cultural issues to deal with, and I need to educate myself as much as possible. The next thing which is important in handling differences in values and cultural backgrounds will be to find a common ground. Compromise. Compromise is the language and the way of people in relationship. You don't always have it your way. It doesn't always go your way. And it doesn't matter whether you are the man or the woman in that relationship, it doesn't always go your way. You may want to find a common ground. You may want to find a meeting point, a place where both of you will agree, even if it's not about being happily in that agreement. Oftentimes, the agreement in marriage or relationship is for peace. It's not for winning or losing. It's for peace to reign so you can better chart a way forward together as a couple. You need to also understand that you need to respect differences. There are things you see you meet in your relationship and you have to let them be that way. It's not everything you want to change. It's not everything you may even agree on. Recognize that differences are inevitable and can rather enrich your marriage, or it can rather enrich your relationship. So respect those differences and avoid making assumptions and judgments based on stereotypes, and instead seek to understand the individual beliefs and values of your partner. Also learn to compromise. Build a joint identity. It's not about me converting you into what I want or you converting me into what you want, but we can build a blend. We can create a shared identity that integrates aspects of both values and cultural backgrounds. This is very important. Instead of me trying to convert you into the person I want, or you trying to make me the person you want, we can actually build a joint identity. We can actually build a blend and enrich our relationship with those different values, with those different cultures. We can rather use them to enrich our relationship. And the next thing you want to consider is you might want to seek support. When it becomes very difficult, especially for people who are already together, married, when you have serious clashes in values, when you have serious clashes in cultural backgrounds, it may be time you might consider seeking support of professional or trained counselors, or at least even experienced people who have navigated these difficult waters you are presently navigating. You might want to talk to them. You might want to seek support. You know, if needed, you have to seek guidance from a relationship counselor or therapist who can provide strategies for navigating cultural differences. Connect with friends or communities that share similar cultural backgrounds to gain additional perspectives. It's about gathering information and also seeking support when you think it's necessary. Also, be patient. Changes sometimes, especially when it comes to relationship, are very slow. One of the great skills you may want to learn in your relationship may be patience. Be patient. Change takes a lot of time. Be patient with each other as you navigate and understand your differences. Understand that it's okay to have different values and that the goal is to find a balance that respects both individuals. This is very important. Be patient. Change will take a lot of time. You can't meet somebody who had been doing a thing for 40 years, for 30 years, for 25 years, for 20 years, and you expect that person to change overnight. And you're telling that person, if you really love me, then you will do all my biddings. It doesn't happen like that. You are not in a classroom where you instruct students on what to do. You are dealing with an adult who had been living that way, who had had that value system or that cultural background for a very long time. And you would not expect them to change just in a jiffy. They need time. They need time, and you have to be patient with them. You also have to give them support. You have to give them support as they try to navigate those difficult moments or those differences. Celebrate your diversity, enjoy, embrace diversity in your relationship as a source of strength rather than as a challenge. Learn from the other cultures. Learn from the other person, the value system. Learn, take opportunities to celebrate each other's cultural events, holidays, traditions. Try to learn from them. Don't talk down on them. This is one bad thing that some people do in relationship, that you talk down on the culture of someone you claim to love, someone you claim to value, someone you want to spend the rest of your life with. You talk down on their culture. You even insult their culture. You make them look stupid. You make them look primitive. You make them look uncivilized. This is not healthy. And this is a form of violence. This is a form of violence in a relationship where you talk down on people, you make them feel primitive, you make them feel uncivilized, you make them feel they are not worth anything. You make them feel like they're coming from the worst culture whatever from the worst part of the world. You make them feel this is violence in its very, very barest form. And it's important to know, celebrate, don't rather talk down on people. It is not healthy. It is not healthy when you talk down on people, when you find that you have differences. It could be as little as talking against their food. It could be as little as talking against their language. It could be as little as talking against their dressing. It is cultural. It is their value. It is their identity. You need to respect it, and you need to if you are not comfortable, of course, if you're not comfortable, then you don't have to continue that relationship. That's why it's important to gather as much information as possible when you are getting into a relationship with somebody about their values, about their cultures. And if you're in a relationship with somebody from a culture which is not yours, and you have not pushed that relationship to marriage, it may be time to slow down and talk with that person. What is your value when it comes to money? What is your value when it comes to saving and investment? What is your value when it comes to family? What are your values when it comes to supporting family? What is your value when it comes to religion? What is your value? Try to know them. Try to understand them. Don't just rush into a relationship with them because you think they are beautiful, you think they are handsome, you think they look the way you want them to, like the one you have been looking for. It's important to slow down, gather as much information as possible. And finally, reassess and reevaluate. Periodically check in with each other to reassess how you are handling differences. Be open to reevaluating your perspectives and adjusting your approach as your relationship evolves. Nothing is stagnant in relationship. We change constantly, and maybe time to reassess and reevaluate. Talk to your partner. Talk to that person. How do I handle relationship or differences in values or differences in backgrounds or cultural backgrounds? Don't proceed with any relationship to any level until you discuss the values, how this person values or approaches money, investment, success. It's very, very important to handle these things because they are areas of conflict. They are areas of conflicts in marriage. Thank you. This is episode 29. Go to my YouTube channel, Living the Full Life, and you will have the 28 previous episodes. And be part of the April-May cohort of single training. So Hope Singles and Married Academy is an academy that trains on relationship, that helps single and married people navigate relationships and make the best out of it. You can really be happy in that relationship if you have the knowledge. The Bible says, deal with them according to wisdom. Do you need wisdom? Then join our April-May cohort of single training. See you. I've been your friend, Pastor Divine. Shalom.